So I thought I'd talk to you a little bit today about sugar addiction and how we use hypnosis to help with this problem. Now, when you come into our clinics and you've got an issue with sugar addiction, one of the first things we need to do is take a general assessment. We want to know as much about you as you can tell us. What's your general physical and mental health like? Are you sleeping properly? Are you stressed? Do you suffer from anxiety? Have you got any medical issues? Is sugar your only problem, or do we have issues with food in general? These assessments sometimes take place on the phone. We'll do a little assessment before we see you, and then we decide what kind of program we put you in. So with sugar addiction, we tend to see clients for session by session. With food hypnosis, we tend to run programs, and then we start to work to understand what the sugar is being used for, because sugar is the symptom of a problem. It isn't the real problem. And one of the things we also notice with clients who've got sugar addiction problems is that they don't tend to be really overweight. They tend to be maybe a stone or so, mainly because most of the food that they're consuming is sugary food. I don't know, sugary cornflakes for breakfast, Haribos for snacks, and they're using sugar more than they are other foods, which is why their weight hasn't really gone up, because they're sacrificing real food for this junk food that they're eating all day. But sugar tends to be used as sort of a comfort blanket to deal with negative emotions. So our job is to try and unpick from our clients what these emotions are and try and help them to change. Now, for clients who've never experienced hypnosis before, one of the common things we get is unrealistic expectations. And that's because the TV and stage hypnosis has given people the impression that all you need to do is come and sit in our chair for an hour, I put you into some kind of coma and do some magic on you, and by the end of the session, you walk away as a changed person. Now, of course, that would be lovely if it was true, but hypnosis is much more complex than you think when it's done by a really good hypnotherapist. And so hypnosis for sugar addiction isn't just a simple matter of just giving you some suggestions and sending you out the door. We need to understand what's going on, and we need to use really good tactics based on the assessment to change the way each individual client works. Not everyone will have the same reasons for their problems with sugar. So how do we work? How do we deal with our clients? Well, there are a number of things that we certainly do in the initial session or two. And these are things that stock things that most of our clients need to learn in order to break these habits. One may be mindfulness. Being mindful of what you're eating can change the way you eat. And we live in a mindless society. In other words, our minds are always busy elsewhere, so we're not concentrating properly on what we're doing. How many of you eat when you're in front of the computer, in front of the TV, while you're on your iPad, while you've got your phone out? These are things that take our attention away from what we're really doing, so we don't even notice what we're consuming. And then we use a little bit of aversion. In other words, putting you off the thing. Now, this is a little bit of a sneaky tactic, and it works well for some people, which is making the sugar be associated with something that you really don't like. So that when you think of the food stuff like sugar, another thing comes into your mind, such as, I don't know, fish guts. And as soon as you think of that, it starts to make you feel a little bit queasy when you think about, I don't know, chowing down on that Snickers bar. Habit reversal training, that's another thing, because people tend to have habits. How many of you go and reach for the biscuit tin at 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon when you're feeling a little bit of a slump at work? How many of you always like something sweet after the end of the meal? With a little bit of habit reversal training, you can change the way that you act, and so you don't automatically do what you've been doing for so long. We also use, of course, suggestion. Suggestion hypnosis is very much the kind that most people think of when they associate hypnotherapy with and hypnosis with this kind of work, which is you're going to feel less liable to eat that sugar. You're going to find that you're going to be more motivated, more in control. And those kind of suggestions are often given in the first session to motivate you to change. But we also use self-hypnosis. In other words, we teach our clients self-hypnosis that they can use at home, which means that even when they're not in the clinic, they can utilize it to try and deal with their sugar cravings. So never underestimate the power of self-hypnosis. If something is repeated to you again and again and again, then it eventually gets into what we call your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind starts to make changes and you don't really notice them at first because they seem so natural. They're going into the back of your brain. Now, of course, that doesn't solve everyone's problems, but sometimes it's a very easy way to give our clients a go at self-hypnosis to see if that's enough to shift their problem. And most of our clients who come in for sugar addiction sessions will be given this particular audio, our self-hypnosis for sugar addiction audio. Now, you can buy this from our online store if you want, and you can try it out at home to see if it can help with your sugar addiction. We estimate in probably 70-80% of our clients we're able to change some of that sugar habit without ever needing to do much complex hypnosis, just through the use of mindfulness and self-hypnosis, etc., etc. But of course, hypnosis isn't always that simple, and sometimes more complex therapy needs to be carried out in order to change how people think. And you're going to find that finding the root cause of a problem is sometimes unavoidable with clients, because without understanding why the person is craving the sugar, the issue is never really resolved. So in more complex cases, we need to find out why sugar is being used as an emotional crutch to deal with some other feeling or problem. You know, sugar is just the symptom, it isn't the real issue. And many of our clients have used that sugar to soothe themselves because they have other issues. For example, underlying sadnesses, or they've associated sugar with love, or they're using sugar to deal with stress and anxiety. In each of these cases, we need to understand what our particular client's problem is and then find a better alternative for them to deal with that underlying problem than this sugar that is rotting their teeth and affecting their health. If you want to get to the bottom of your sugar cravings or would like some help with any kind of food hypnosis, then you can just simply give us a call. For sugar addiction, we tend to do session by session approach, but any kind of weight loss hypnosis, in other words, if people have more than 2 stone to lose, then we run a 5-session program, simply because if someone's got that kind of weight to lose, it takes a little bit of time to get the weight off, and it requires a little bit more of that complex therapy that we were talking about earlier. So just give us a call on 01636 650 521 and we'll be happy to chat through about your problem and then arrange a session for you.